Something was different in the pantry. The husky knew it the moment they brought the bags in. It took the allergist 6 months of testing to confirm what the dog already understood. It started the Tuesday their daughter Vivienne pointed at the pantry door and said, "No." She was 2 years and 4 months old, and the word "no" had been in regular rotation for some time, deployed at bathwater, at vegetables, at bedtime, at strangers, at all the ordinary inconveniences of being 2. When she pointed at the pantry and said no, Yolanda Osei assumed she was refusing the crackers she had just been offered from it. She didn't connect it to the dog. Their Siberian husky, a 4-year-old female named Lyra, had been sitting in front of the pantry for 3 days, not asking to be let in, not pawing, just sitting, facing the door, occasionally turning to look at whoever walked past, then turning back. Yolanda had given her a cracker at one point to see if hunger was driving it. Lyra had eaten the cracker and returned to sit in front of the door. 3 days into this, Vivienne began doing the same. Not sitting, pointing. She would approach the pantry when someone opened it, extend her arm with the index finger out, and say no. Then she would look at Lyra. Then she would look at whatever adult was standing nearest and say no again, with the specificity of a child who believes she has been very clear and cannot understand why the response is not forthcoming. Yolanda was a school librarian. Her husband Theo was a civil engineer. Neither of them had any particular training in either allergy identification or animal behavior. What they had was the common parental inventory of books, forums, pediatrician contacts, and the low-grade interpretive anxiety that attaches itself to anything your child does repeatedly, without explanation. Theo said, "Do you think she's reacting to something in there?" Yolanda said, "She eats everything that comes out of there." Theo said, "Does she?" They went through the list. Vivienne was not eating crackers this week. She had refused them Monday, Tuesday, today. She had also refused the granola she usually accepted. She had not refused the rice cakes. Yolanda opened the pantry and stood in the doorway. The crackers and the granola were on the same shelf. 2 products purchased 2 weeks ago, new brands, bought because they were on sale. The rice cakes were on a different shelf, an older purchase, a brand she'd bought before. She turned the cracker box over. The ingredient list included sesame. She turned the granola bag over. Also sesame. Subscribe now before the next paragraph. Because what the pediatric allergist confirmed at Vivienne's appointment 12 days later was something that Lyra had apparently identified the moment those bags came through the door, and something that Vivienne, at 2 years and 4 months, had also been trying to communicate from the only vocabulary she had. Vivienne tested positive for sesame allergy, class 2. Her immune response to sesame-containing foods was confirmed through both skin prick and specific IgE blood test. The allergist, Dr. Priscilla Amara, explained that class 2 sesame allergy in a toddler typically produces contact-level symptoms: tingling in the mouth, mild hives, gastrointestinal discomfort, that a child of Vivienne's age would experience but be unable to name. She would know something was wrong. She would not be able to say what. She could say no. Dr. Amara said, The self-avoidance behavior in toddlers with undiagnosed food sensitivities is well documented. They learn the association between a food and discomfort before we identify the allergy. They refuse before we catch the pattern. Yolanda asked about the dog. Dr. Amara said, dogs can detect the specific protein compounds associated with sesame at concentrations invisible to human perception. There is documented research on allergen detection dogs trained to identify trace exposures. What you're describing, a dog that positioned itself at a storage location for sesame-containing products, is consistent with an untrained olfactory alert response to a specific protein signature. She looked at both of them. They were telling each other the same thing, through different languages, for the same number of days. Has your dog ever consistently avoided or flagged a specific location in your house? A cabinet, a shelf, a bag, in a way that turned out to mean something? Tell us in the comments. These stories deserve to be heard. The sesame products left the pantry that afternoon. Lyra stopped sitting in front of the door. Vivienne stopped pointing at it. Dr. Amara prescribed an epinephrine auto-injector. She outlined a sesame-free protocol. She told Yolanda that Class 2 has a reasonable trajectory for outgrowing, that regular testing would track it, and that catching it at this stage, before a significant accidental exposure, was the outcome she wanted for every patient. She said, "What prompted you to schedule this appointment?" Yolanda said, "The dog and my daughter were pointing at the same door. If you stay for stories about what animals sense before we do, you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss the next one." Every guardian deserves to be recognized, even the ones who never asked for anything in return. If stories like this matter to you, subscribe so you never miss the next one. Vivienne is 3 now. She points at things constantly and precisely. She points at Lyra's water bowl when it's low. She points at the sky when a bird is somewhere she wants someone to notice. She pointed at the pantry for 3 days and said no until someone looked at what was in it. Lyra still sits in the kitchen during meals. She is in the position she has always been in, close, present, paying attention. She has not sat in front of the pantry again. The door holds nothing her nose needs to report. Next, a German shepherd who began waking at 3 a.m. and pressing against a bedroom door, and what was building on the other side of it.